Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I see that there are a lot of new subscribers on the channel, so I'm really grateful for your support and all the kind messages and comments you've been putting on my channel. I hope that you keep on enjoying the content. There's a lot of it already on there. I think I have 850 plus videos on INFJs already, so you're probably binging or listening or watching to some of them already. And as you can see, my sister and I moved again, and we got this beautiful villa in Bali, in Seminyak, which is a little city town in Bali, on the island. We're only here for a month, but it's nice to be here. Interestingly enough, I actually got COVID. I think I was sick for the last few days, so if I'm not if I look a little bit off, it's just because of that. Anyways, the reason I wanted to do a video today was actually I was thinking about this a few days ago. Somehow I started thinking about when I was first in high school, and I joined high school for the last high school I joined because I moved around a lot because my father's job moved us around a lot, and in the Middle East. And even though I was born in India, we moved in the Middle East a lot, maybe 5 or 6 different countries. And the last high school that I attended was in Dubai. And I remember this, for some reason, you know how it is, you have these random memories in your head, and some of them just kind of stick to you like glue. And you can kind of remember them and picture them and feel them so coherently and so accurately, as if you were watching a movie, as if like you're right there all over again, you know, every single time. And it's been 20, no, actually more than that, 25 years since I went through this particular memory, right? So maybe longer than that, actually, almost 30 years actually, since I actually went through that bus ride that I'm going to be talking about in my high school, and my first day of high school in this school in Dubai. And as I said, 30 years or more, and I can actually, even right now I'm standing here and I can picture that day so clearly in my head. It's just astounding to me that this kind of stuff happens. Anyways, I'm sure you have memories like that in your own experience where it sticks with you. Even I'm sure when I'm 80 years old or on my deathbed, I'll remember these particular, there's a bunch of memories that I have so clearly imprinted into my brain cells that maybe I'll even remember it in my next life, maybe not. But this particular memory was very clear to me because, as I said, it was my first day of school, and I was going to this new school with my sister. So we were going to go to the same school, because normally you go to separate schools because she was in middle school and I was in high school, but now she was in high school with me as well, and I was in high school. I don't remember which grade, or maybe they were just in the same spot. Basically, that's why we were going to this, using the same bus. Anyways, we're in the same bus. We got on the bus. It was completely full, and I saw one seat that was empty. I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna give it to my sister. I took her there, I pushed her there. Basically, I was like, go, go, go. And I made her sit down, and I gave her my bag so I wouldn't have to stand with my bag, and I was standing. And interestingly enough, the head person, like the head girl, or one of the women who took care of us, who was the leader, I guess. She was just called the head girl, and every year they changed the head girl, and the head girl was usually from the top grade and had the top grade, right? She was very popular and charming and intelligent and all of that good stuff. Everything that I'd aspire to be at that age when I was very young, and I'd look up to this person like, wow, I want to be like that. And I remember, I think her name was Ashwati. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but she was the head girl at that point in time, and I had taken her seat. I had basically given my sister her seat, and she was very sweet. She was like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll stand as well, it's fine, it's busy, I know, and she's very young, so it's okay for her to sit and we can stand. I felt very much like camaraderie with her. Yes, exactly, right? She's tiny, we should stand for that, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that was the last conversation I ever had with her. I never really spoke to her much, but I do remember thinking, she was like a head girl. She was one of those people that was like, oh, I wish I could be like her. Interestingly enough, the memory was about me actually not being a head girl for sure, because I never actually applied to be that way. Also, I could not. I wasn't popular enough or charming enough or any of that. I was too shy. Maybe now, if I went back, I could have done it in this scenario, but back then I was just painfully awkward and shy. But I do remember, when I was in 12th grade as well, grade 12, the highest grade in the high school, I was now sitting in the back seats where all the higher grade people would sit, like all the cool people. And I would notice all the younger girls looking at us, be like, oh wow, one day I'm going to sit in that seat. It's kind of interesting how the school buses are set up. You probably have noticed this as well. The younger grades sit in the front, the older grades sit in the back, and they're the cool people somehow. I don't know how, just by age, I guess, and experience. And I remember sitting there, and I remember distinctively thinking about that first day where I had taken that seat from Ashwati, from that head girl. She was no longer with us, obviously, because she'd graduated and gone off to do whatever she was doing. I had no idea what she was doing because I never got close to her. I only got to spend maybe a few months with her, and then she graduated and I graduated as well, because I think I came in the middle of a grade, anyways. All of this to say, it's really fascinating to me how as soon as I got into that back seat, like when I could just sit and just watch the entire bus and everyone in the bus and notice what they were doing and notice how everyone was doing, make sure everyone was fine. I could take care of the little kids if necessary. I could prevent people from pushing each other or things like that. As soon as I got to that spot, I was very comfortable. And I think it's pretty similar to how INFJs live the rest of their life as well. We kind of aspire to a certain goalpost, perhaps, some kind of person that we want to be, some kind of characteristic that we want to emulate, some kind of place that we want to live. I mean, I pictured myself living in a place with a pool for the longest time, and finally I'm here. And we kind of do this to ourselves. We kind of visualize, and then a lot of us end up in that position and realize, oh, is this what I was waiting for? That's interesting. And so, as you can imagine, when I finally got to that backseat and I finally became that grade 12 person who was strong and tall and looked up to, I was like, wow, yeah, actually, I'm not there yet. Yeah, I'm not that person yet. I'm not strong enough. I'm not charming enough. I'm not shy enough. I'm not strong, I'm not social enough, and all that stuff. I knew at that point that I had a long way to go before I became that person. And I remember another memory that I have about that bus ride. I have many memories about those bus rides because I loved them so much. There were time to spend time with friends. There were time to sit around and look out the window and daydream, things like that. But I do remember my last day on that bus ride too. That last day of my high school, when I left that high school forever and we moved to Canada after. And I remember that bus ride very distinctively, and I kind of remember my first bus ride as well very distinctively. And I compared the two. I looked at myself. I was like, okay, how far I have come from the time I had joined the high school to the time that I had left it, which was probably 4 or 5 years. And it was really interesting for me to see, because it was literally what INFJs constantly do for ourselves, is that we constantly compare ourselves to a past us. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why it's very comforting to me being an INFJ, is because a lot of times I'm not comparing myself to outside structures. Even though if I am comparing myself to someone else, it's usually because they have a characteristic that I really love, and I'd like to take that upon myself. Maybe they're really social in a way that makes everyone comfortable, and I want to be like that. Or maybe they're really funny and I want to be funny, things like that. But in a lot of cases, what we're constantly doing as INFJs, and long story short, maybe I should have not told you that story. I hope you enjoyed it though. Long story short, basically what INFJs are constantly doing, as I did when I was that 14-year-old chick, and now as I'm a 38-year-old chick, and by chick I mean chicken chick kind of thing, not like chick in a rude way. I truly was just doing the same thing at that point as I'm doing right now. I look back, a year back, 6 months back, 6 weeks back, and I look at the person I was and I realize, oh wow, I've made a huge leap forward. I'm a completely different person now. And I first of all hopefully congratulate myself, try to, and then from that I say, okay, what do I want to improve upon next? What kind of a person do I want to become next? How can I get better next, so that I can look upon myself in 6 months 6 years, whatever it might be, and say, yes, I've become a better person than I was 6 years ago or 6 months ago, right? And as we get older, obviously, these changes become more rapid. I've noticed that I don't need to go back 6 years. I can just go back 6 days sometimes, and I've changed so much in 6 days, and I can really feel the difference in me, inside of me. An interesting thing is that, or maybe a problematic thing is that, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to our past us, for us, we might be progressing very rapidly, and we're becoming, better and better human beings. But because we look exactly the same, if you look at my videos in the past, maybe I was thinner or younger looking, perhaps, maybe not so different, but you might look at it and be like, well, she's exactly the same person. She hasn't changed at all. And for me, I look back at that person and I think, wow, I am such a different person now. Like that person that I was in those videos when I did in the beginning of this channel in 2016, April, which is when I first started doing videos, completely different from who I am right now. I mean, I can't even express to you how different I am. It is incomprehensible. Right? I never imagined I'd go so far. I never imagined I'd change so much. And I never imagined how much I would accomplish. I had all these goals and I wanted to do all these things, but I never imagined that I'd be able to do them. Of course, we do put ourselves down in that way, so that's terrible. But we do constantly aspire, constantly moving forward, constantly like pushing forward, but like, yes, I want to do this and I want to go there and I want to reach these heights and I don't want to give up, hopefully, right? And so, wow, 30 years ago, I was on that bus. And, the person, of course, that was back then and right now that I am is so different. She would never have been able to do these videos because she would just be too shy. Also, she wasn't articulate enough. Also, she didn't have anything to speak about. She didn't have enough life experience at all, right? But then, back then, I had a lot more aspirations about all these different things I wanted to try out. And I tried out a couple of them and I realized that they're not for me, And so that way as well, I kind of limited myself in a way, but in a good way, because then you're not reaching for all the different things without any kind of discernment. You're kind of going for the things that matter to you truly, like truly, truly deeply, right? So I wanted to kind of share this with you because I love the idea, like as I said, I love the idea sometimes of being this person so much because as I said, I was sick for a few days, so my throat is not doing so well. As I said, I really love the idea that I am this person who is constantly leveling up a little bit, even if it's just by like an inch, maybe even if it's just by a few centimeters. I love the idea that I'm constantly looking at myself, looking at the one that I was previously and be like, hey, yeah, I was back there and now I'm standing here. I've taken a few steps forward because I've changed myself. I have transformed myself, alchemized myself like a magician. So this is something that I wanted to share is that I would say this is actually a superpower for an INFJ because instead of wasting our time comparing ourselves to people who are outside of ourselves, who are not comparable to us because their life experiences are so different from us. It's like comparing apples to oranges, really, right? Or even worse than that, apples to orangutans. Because it's just a completely useless comparison, you comparing yourself to anyone else. Their life experiences, their karma, their interests, their desires, their needs, the talents, all of it is completely different from yours. So of course, what your path is going to be completely different from theirs. There's no point comparing yourself to them. Yeah? The only person you can compare yourself to is the person you were 10 seconds ago, 10 minutes ago, 10 decades ago, or if you were alive back then, 10 years ago. And I think that's the best way to improve, really. If you compare yourself to yourself, I think is the healthiest way to improve yourself and move forward. And unhealthiest way, in my opinion, is to compare yourself to celebrities and people who you have no idea what they're really like, but you only see a persona of themselves online, and you think that is them, and then you compare yourself to them. That, I think, is the worst way to do it. Thankfully, a lot of times INFJs don't do that, which really helps us be healthier in the long term. So I wanted to share this with you. I hope that it was okay. I wanted to do a low capacity video today because I am still not feeling well, but I didn't want to leave you with no video at all. So I would really love to hear your opinion or your stories about this. You know, how did you know, or when did you know that you are usually comparing yourself to an older version of yourself? Or do you do that, or don't you do that, or why don't you do that? I would love to hear all of that. So please share with us in the comments below. And wherever you are, I am grateful for your support. I hope that you are taking care of yourself, especially if anyone is, you know, Ukrainian or listening to this in Ukraine. I'm sure maybe you're not. You know, I hope that you're all doing well and staying safe. Thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.